Greetings, listeners/viewers. This is the Fandalorian podcast, a pure fandom podcast on the hit Disney Plus series, The Mandalorian. I am one of your hosts, Liz Prue. That's our soundboard falling from our dog Herschel. This is my husband, Eric Prue. We are live. We are joined by our wonderful friend, Mike Bonney. What's up, Mike?
What's up, guys?
Hey. I'm just, so the latest episode of The Mandalorian, I'm going to say this right, Season 2, Episode 6, Chapter 14, The Tragedy. Troll me if I'm wrong.
Sounds right.
We thought it would be some filler episode after the Ahsoka awesome sauce badassery.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no. Dave Filoni said, hold the phone. Robert Rodriguez said, oh, you like Alita on rollerblades? I'm going to give you Boba Fett. Back. That's what he said.
I'm not sure. I was so surprised. It was such a pleasant surprise to see that ship fly onto the planet out, because you expected it to be Imperial, right? When you heard the ship coming
That's exactly right.
Yep. It was amazing.
Until you see it, and then you go, oh, that's Boba Fett's ship.
Well, I was like, and this was totally genuine. I was like, hold on, I know that ship. And Eric gave me a death stare that threatened divorce.
Disgusted.
He was like, it's Boba Fett's ship. And I was like, oh my God, it is. Okay. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. So you guys, we say this every week and no one takes our free shit. So we will give you free Star Wars Pop Funko dolls. My Amazon cart is, the abandoned cart emails are starting to get obnoxious because none of you guys will take them. So this is what we're going to say. First person to comment hi gets a Pop Funko of a Jedi or Sith of their choice under $15.
Ooh.
First one to say hi. That's all you have to do. Just say hi in the chat, wherever you're viewing from. We're on Twitch, Facebook, Twitter. Where are we?
It reminds me of Celebrity Jeopardy. Just write a word. Any word.
Any word.
Any word.
We just watched. It was the category was states that end in Hampshire. Too good. Okay, Mike, what were your thoughts on Chapter 14 overall? And what would you grade it? Let's start with the grade.
Man, I guess I would grade it an A. I'm trying to think of an episode this season that I wouldn't grade at least an A minus. It will always amaze me how much they can get done in these 30-minute episodes.
I know.
Because you're used to these long dramas being, 45 minutes, an hour, like Game of Thrones or something. And then you see the runtime and it's 32 minutes. And I don't know. It will always baffle me how much they are able to get done in just such a short amount of time. It's amazing.
It's fantastic. I think, well, you go first. What are your thoughts and what would you grade Chapter 14, The Tragedy?
I mean, you can't go A+ because, they took the child at the end. Sorry, spoilers. But A overall, just the sheer action was so amazing. I mean, to see Boba wield his whatever the hell that staff with the giant ball at the end. And then
oh god, I forgot he did that first before he
gets the armor. And then you just see, I think my favorite part in the whole episode was when he point blank chest blasts that stormtrooper 50 feet in the air. Just oh my god,
all of that was great. That was great. I mean, he was cracking their armor open, their head plates just open with that big stick.
It was the most visceral Star Wars violence that I think I've seen thus far, really,
outside of Darth Vader Rogue One.
Oh yeah, that was just terrifying. Yeah. What about you?
I think A, but not A+ to your point because of I almost called him Greedo.
Creed.
Grogu being taken by Moff Gideon. I think what I love about this show, and particularly the last 2 episodes, even though Boba Fett has technically been in live action, I feel like the show is such a reintroduction to some iconic characters if they were a cartoon or other live action. And with Ahsoka and Boba Fett, the way, like Ahsoka, when all these, like, it was just like, holy crap. And then when you have Boba Fett come down and he just lands, and like the way, I thought Robert Rodriguez straight up crushed directing. The way he zoomed on in, and then when he blasted the ships in the sky, and the way he turned around, it was just like that. I felt like I was reading my favorite comic, and each shot was like the money graphic that they used for the comic. I thought it was awesome. I loved it. It was great.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Comment too. We're following the chat. Comment in the chat. No one wants a Funko. I get it.
Bobby does.
Come on, Bobby. So Eric,
that's the first person.
We used to work with Bobby.
Oh yeah,
Bobby's awesome. Bobby, if you want a
we
shirt,
used to call him Bob the Builder
because he's so smart. He's like one of the smartest people I've ever met.
He's not that smart.
Oh, that's throwing shade.
Just kidding.
Genius. Don't listen to him.
I'll also say, with this kind of reintroduction of these old characters, Boba Fett's one was interesting because, unpopular Star Wars opinion, I never really cared about Boba Fett much.
Ouch.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that I disliked him. He undeniably looks really cool in the original trilogy, right? But you know almost nothing about him. He doesn't really do anything in those original movies. Like, he's got just a couple of lines in Empire Strike Back. I don't think he has any lines in Return of the Jedi.
He gets stuck down that sand hole. Right?
I mean, he has maybe the worst death of any, well, not dead, but near death of any character in Star Wars, where he gets blindsided by a blind man, knocked into a barge, and rolls into a sarlacc. Like, it's just, like, he's got this like aura of like, man, Boba Fett's this badass, and it's like, is he? Because he doesn't really do much in the movies, but then they reintroduce him in The Mandalorian, and they're like, oh yeah, no, Boba Fett's that dude. Like,
that's
okay.
Right.
Like, they basically justified all the hype for the last 50 years of Boba Fett.
Right.
They needed that redemption, sort of like Darth Vader, where you don't really see Darth Vader play a true badass in a live action film until Rogue One. It's like one of those things. They're like, you know what? Yeah. We're going to give Darth Vader some modern technology behind the CGI of his scenes and make him really, truly realize his badass potential.
Yes. I think that's amazing. That's why I love the show. They're like, every badass moment that we want or image that we have in our head of these characters, they're just like, yeah, we're going to deliver. It's like, I mean, it's just like the best fan fiction brought to life with Disney Plus budget. Like, it's incredible.
I know.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man.
Okay, so let's talk about, Boba Fett has his jetpack back. He's doing things. Quick recap. He was like, hey, your ship blew up. RIP. So now, because of, codes or saving lives, all that sort of stuff, Boba Fett and Ming-Na Wen, her name is
Fennec
Shan. Ming-Na Wen, amazing actor, love her so much. She is back in the mix. She was not injured from her season 1 battle with Mando. She got classic Star Wars robotic surgery, so she's doing fine.
That was true.
Yes.
I could use a robotic stomach, actually. I think I'd prefer that to my current stomach.
I've given birth to 2 of your children. I get the robotic stomach over any of you. So, yeah.
Okay.
One person to support that in the chat gets 2 Pop Funko dolls. So we have that going on. And then, of course, Moff Gideon and those crazy troopers that are in... Are they in a video game? This is the first time we've seen them live action?
They were not canon, so they were they in a comic or a book or something?
I don't know.
Mid-90s.
I can't remember.
The Dark Troopers.
Yeah, I'll try and look this up while we do this, but pretty much we got all that going on. Okay. And Moff Gideon has the child who did some moves.
Oh,
some
man.
moves on those stormtroopers on his ship. Let's talk about that for a minute. It made me really sad because he obviously hasn't honed his skills in decades. And he just like fell asleep and they were making fun of him.
I know. Terrible.
It wasn't very nice
No.
No, it wasn't.
all around.
As
Yeah.
our 3-year-old would say, that's not very nice.
No, I mean, first they kidnap him and then they make fun of his stamina. Like,
Yeah.
not cool, Moff.
He's
Yeah.
gonna be building a pretty big resistance against Moff Gideon in the future. It's like building up emotionally. There's going to be some sort of peak where the child gets his revenge on Moff Gideon. I don't know when. Could be
Well,
season 6.
Yeah, but that is
When does Gus
Gus Fring from
Yeah.
Breaking Bad?
yeah, when does he go? Season 4?
I don't remember.
Oh, we shouldn't get spoilers of another show.
Well, if you haven't watched
Yeah.
Breaking Bad, like, what are you doing? His head explodes. Spoiler.
Just
Um,
half of his head though.
See, now you really gave him the spoilers. Okay, so here's what's going on. What is still unknown is that I keep wanting to say Grogu did the Force Rock thing. He put his Force energy out there.
That was so cool.
That was awesome.
Really cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what do you think of that, Mike?
That was, it was just such a cool scene. Like, I don't know, like everything about it, like that whole thing. And like, man, you knew the second that Mando left, that is when that shield was going to drop.
Oh,
As
yeah.
he continues to like bash himself into it and like get thrown backwards. And it's like, well, just maybe have a seat. Like, wait, give it 5 or 10. No, second he gets away from it, the thing just drops and it's like,
And he
no.
died, and you're like,
I know.
"Oh."
Yeah. Well, that makes for good television. It's his
Yeah. You had to have him kidnapped, right? So
Mhm. Yeah. What do we think about so he's sitting down on this rock, he's projecting Force energy into the universe, the
Mhm.
galaxy, I guess.
Okay.
And what's happening out to someone that's actually receiving this message? Is he talking? He's communicating in some way, but is it like a homing beacon? Like what do we expect to see as a result of someone hearing the signal? Somebody heard it,
Yeah.
right?
for sure.
Well,
We can talk about who.
Well, whenever someone hears a signal from the Force, what usually happens is this. I sense a disturbance in the Force. So as soon as we see someone head jerk to stage right, we'll know that they got the call. And let's talk a little bit about who could have received the call. We talked a lot about Ezra, obviously. And you talked about last week, Mike, how Ahsoka technically is still looking for him, right?
Mhm.
Based on him leaving with what's his face.
Yeah, when we last saw him, he was, taken with Thrawn. So the fact that she's looking for Thrawn, kind of leads to, well, Ezra seems to be kind of the likely choice. I just think overall, if you were like looking at the Jedi that are still out there, Ezra's probably like the favorite, I guess, if you were handicapping it.
Yep.
Just given his connection with Ahsoka and Thrawn, and honestly, just Dave wanting to put all of his characters in live action Star Wars. That's the smart money. I know a lot of people think Luke is not like an option. Obviously he's still out there. It's only a few years after Return of the Jedi.
And Leia is out there too.
Leia's out there too. I personally, I'd rather they not go down that route. Honestly, it sounds bad, but I think I'm good with the Skywalkers. Like, we've seen so much of their story. Like, I'd like to see a different story. Also, sending Grogu with Luke is a death sentence because
we know what happened.
We know what happens. So right. I think it'd be okay if that's not Luke. I just think Ezra's the smart bet, I guess.
Yep.
as much as I would love to see Mark Hamill on screen, like, listen, I'll take Mark Hamill on screen anytime. Like, I will not be upset about it. I love him. You guys know he's like probably my favorite Jedi, but next to Ahsoka, obviously. But I think that if Ezra, obviously that would be amazing and fits into the current storyline. Before the podcast, though, we were talking about a couple other Jedi that might show up to kind of tease us for Ezra to come. So Jedi Fallen Order, the PS4 game, which is super awesome if you guys haven't played it yet. The actor, the Cal Kestis is the Jedi. This is right after Order 66, is played by Shameless's Cameron Monaghan. He is in it, and he's the title character that you play. Additionally, he runs into, I don't know if it's Siri Serjunda. I can't remember how you pronounce her Jedi name, but that's played by actor Deborah Wilson. And she's like, what'd you say, Mike? She said she like lost touch with the Force or something.
Yeah, I only played the very beginning parts of the game, and when she'd come in, she had said she lost her connection with the Force. So I don't know if that's true or she gets it back or whatever, but that's what she said, at least.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we haven't finished the game yet, so we could be totally wrong in this. But technically, they're out there. And you were saying the fact that they cast like made the renderings of, I know that's a trend right now in video games anyways, but the fact that they made these video game characters like exact of the voice actor that plays them.
Mm-hmm.
Was that intentional for like TV show purposes? I don't know.
They reserve the right, you know. And we got a lot of television with The Mandalorian ahead of us, you know. So I think yeah, right there.
My Truly just splashed in my face, but I'm good.
You got it. Okay.
Truly, sponsor this podcast. That was my shout out.
I think you got to give Ezra to the fans at this point. I think everybody's super excited about it. I think as things go on, you know, it's like they'll be looking for new characters to introduce. You know, there's a lot of time, so we'll probably see a couple more in the Jedi universe because it's not very big right now.
It's really not. I mean, there's like what? There's like a handful of options total.
Yeah.
So
like, I don't know how they're gonna amass a Jedi army against the new Empire. What are they calling it? Have they started calling it something yet?
Well, Boba said the Empire is back, or the Empire is whatever. Yeah. So I don't know. We'll just call him the Empire for whatever.
Yeah, because I mean, he saw the Imperial cruiser, and I guess that's. I don't think they've said First Order yet. Like but that's what 30 years after this. Mm-hmm. So I mean, there's a lot of time, I guess, for these like Empire factions to sort of fight amongst themselves until they sort of congregate on that new First Order, which they clearly do. But
so I have a question, and I'm saying this as a Star Wars fan that will take any and all Star Wars. Okay, I just want to preface it with that. Why should we care, like, what happens right now if we see what happens with Palpatine and the dark side and all of that with Episode 9? Like, is there a possibility that there's still more to the Star Wars story outside of the, cinematic sagas as we know it? Because, and when people say, well, Rogue One was great, but yes, but I feel like Rogue One was, and we've talked about this, like, it was just a beautiful war film, and it had like really cool Star Wars stuff in it. So I don't see, when you watch Mandalorian, like, you have to really appreciate it in all its glory. I feel like you have to be like a Star Wars fan.
Yes.
Yeah.
You don't have to be, but like, you're going to get the most out of it if you're a Star Wars fan in some capacity.
Yep. It's a lot like Westerns. I'd say it's that typical Western feel that Star Wars movies have. Oh, yeah. Which we talked about that on Friday and how much we love that.
So why should we care about what happens with like Moff Gideon, Thrawn, Grogu? Good God.
My. Now it's just a thing.
I know.
See, that's why I'm sort of the opinion that you can't have the Jedi be a Skywalker. You can't really, I don't think you can even really talk about the First Order. Like, I think that the show would be smart to keep it as far away from the sequel trilogy as humanly possible. And that's not like a knock on the trilogy or what people do or don't think about it. It's just, it's like you said, like, we know the First Order comes. We know that Luke's Jedi Order gets destroyed. Like, we already know all of these like really central plot points to that story. So the second that they start to weave this story into that story, it just starts to lose its meaning. Whereas right now it feels very like we know this is right after the Empire falls, and we know that stuff is coming down the road, but at the moment there's no real connection between it other than both sides have stormtroopers.
Right.
Like, there's not, you can still, I guess, in your mind separate the two out from each other as long as they don't make that connection for you. Like, the second they bring Luke or Leia into it, like, that's it. Like, you can't suspend that disbelief anymore. Like, it's connected. Like, these stories are now intertwined.
Right.
At least with now, like, you could be running a completely parallel path to the whole Luke First Order Rey saga. Like, you can have Mando and Grogu and all of these people kind of doing their own thing in the background and never really tying it to sort of the main saga, which would be the best thing for them, because I don't think it's in their best interest to tie it all together.
Well, it might be too difficult to keep track of everything if you do that too. Like, it's just like you're so much more restricted in general when you do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I like your theory though, that, or just general thought that this, even if this could totally run in parallel to what happens, but we're telling a completely different story. Like, what if Mando ends up being the person that drops Rey off on Jakku, and that's how the series ends? We don't know.
I mean, and we don't know what's going on Mandalore during this time.
Right.
Like, if you think about it, like, that sequel trilogy, like, its scope is pretty narrow. Like, we know what's happening with Rey, and we know what's happening sort of with the First Order, but like, it's a big galaxy that we don't really know what's happening in.
Yeah.
And they're not really, like, we don't really know what's happening on all these outer rim planets, and we don't know what's happening on Mandalore and beyond. So, I mean, you could easily have self-contained stories kind of running down those paths that, have no interaction with the First Order whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that either of you think that any of the like fallout or result of any of these events have something much bigger at play than the Skywalker saga and Palpatine? Like, could we be looking at an entirely different huge thing?
I hope so.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Because that would be exciting to me. Like that, It's something new, It's not just another sick story within the Skywalker Palpatine.
Yeah.
story.
Well, I think if I reflect on the importance of Grogu at this point, I mean, there's a lot at stake if they're able to take his blood and create Force-sensitive beings that they can clone. I mean, I think that's,
if they like Mystique him,
there's a
like
lot at
Days of
stake
Future
there.
Past.
Yeah. I mean, they like, they're essentially clearly they're trying to take his blood and apply it to a stormtrooper or whatever and create an army of Force-sensitive beings that they can control. And that's terrifying. I mean, it's, somewhat comforting to know that they don't succeed.
Well,
even
knows?
in 30 years.
Or they do.
And what if there's like a Winter Soldier Jedi out there? We don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, if anything, maybe it's the precursor to Palpatine. I mean, we don't really know how they cloned him or how they did any of that. We didn't get any sort of explanation on him coming back.
Right.
It's possible that this is the experiments to do that.
Did you
Okay.
just come up with that, or did you read that somewhere?
off the top of my head.
That's why you're the best.
But I mean, I don't really want them to do that, just because I want them to keep this separate. I just don't. I think I have fatigue of Palpatine Skywalkers.
Well, we all do. I think
just something new.
Well, it could be interesting if, I mean, the universe is big. It's far, far away. There's a lot of stuff within the universe. Like, we could have a whole First Order, Republic, or not Republic, Empire, whatever, a brewing somewhere else, letting Palpatine do his thing, waiting for that to be done. I mean, or not even worried about it at all. We don't know. Like, I think the notion that this is really new and exciting is worth exploring. I mean, look at and it could almost give a resurgence to some of our characters who before The Mandalorian have kind of had their moment or their closure, so to speak. Like Ahsoka, I didn't feel like her story was done at the end of the latest Clone Wars, but it could have been, so this is kind of interesting because it could lead to something entirely new. Like, who knows how old her species lives to be? We know Yoda's species, like Grogu, lived to be almost 1,000 years old. So there could be a whole other situation. And if I'm Disney, I'm like, cool, we're going to rope everybody in with Palpatine Skywalker. We're going to create something entirely different. Totally, I mean, yeah, it's kind of related, but we're reinventing ourselves. I mean, look at Marvel. You have Thanos, you have Galactus, you got all the things. I mean, we didn't even meet Thanos. I mean, we technically met him in Guardians. But it's you never really thought of him as that huge threat. We had a gazillion movies before Infinity War and Endgame, that big build up, I mean, I would take that formula and create some new big bad. I didn't know who, I mean, granted there were the comics, but I didn't know who Thanos was before that. And I was freaking terrified of the guy in Infinity War. So who knows what could happen? Who knows?
Yeah. And I mean, I still think or hope, I guess, or want, I want Thrawn to be the bad guy. Don't get me wrong, Moff Gideon is great, but something tells me that the end game for this is Thrawn. He is the bad guy, and if that's the case, he's not falling in line behind Kylo Ren, right? That's not what he's gonna do. So you've got kind of this big bad guy just out there looming over everything. And I mean, it's still 30 years away from the First Order, so I mean, there's plenty of time for them to kind of go down that entire path and have this kind of new big bad guy. It's not a Sith, it's not a Force wielder who's got a red lightsaber. It is something totally different with a completely different set of motivations. So I really hope that that's the way the show kind of veers down. Just because I just think it would be so unique compared to what they've done in the past.
And what's exciting about that too is what you said, he's a unique villain, right? And additionally, and I'm going to play devil's advocate here for a little bit. Some folks may say, well, we've had Ahsoka and Boba Fett. What else do we have to be excited about? And I think it's fair to say anyone that shows up with a lightsaber or a sick ass jetpack or does something I'm going to be pumped about.
Yeah.
Right? It's going to be, I'm just really excited. I'm pumped.
So where do we go next? So we got a filler episode coming up for sure, based on the last 2 episodes. I mean,
well, I don't know.
Do we though? Because this is the penultimate episode. I mean, I'm no expert on TV structure, but I don't know that shows usually put filler in their second to last episode of the season.
Well, That's
Look
true,
at
Mike.
Game of- Look at Game of Thrones
it
in
is
its
true.
glory days. The second to last episode was always like the sode.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm thinking like, well, they have to get their act together, right? They have to go and plan because they're about to take on Moff Gideon and crew. So it could be a long. We've heard it's a long episode. We don't know the runtime quite yet. Probably going to be a long episode. There's going to be a planning phase where they have to figure out what they're going to do, right? How they're going to, and then then we have to figure out from there how they take down Moff Gideon and get the child back.
Yeah, but this show does such a good job of, like we were saying in the beginning, showing everything we need to see in 30 minutes.
Mhm.
Oh, that could be a 30-second planning scene. I don't care if there's some exposition going on. Let's get to the action.
Yeah. I mean, even in this last episode where they like in the the recap or whatever, they're like, go to this planet and sit on this rock or whatever, and then the episode starts and he's arriving at the planet. Like they're just like, yeah, we're just not gonna waste any time with like space travel or anything like that. like you're there and you're doing it now. So I mean, I think step one, you got to get the team together, right?
Oh yeah.
Like, the cast of characters. I mean, he's already gone for Cara Dune. I assume you're gonna grab Bo-Katan. You're
Carl
probably,
Weathers.
huh?
Carl Weathers.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. He's got kind of that planet to run, and he's getting old. I don't
Yeah.
know. Do you think he wants to storm a Imperial cruiser?
We're gonna get Bill Burr.
Oh yeah,
They
they're gonna
gotta
get
get
Bill.
Yeah, they're gonna go find Bill Burr. I mean, Ahsoka.
Dream team.
Yeah, I mean, that's step one, right? You got to assemble the team.
Yeah. I mean,
It's
they
like a heist movie.
So they got to get Ahsoka, but the question is, are they going to meet who heard the signal, or is it one of those things where when they converge on to Moff Gideon and crew, is that where the meeting happens? Because that's what I'm thinking. Because the homing beacon has been released from Grogu's mind or whatever, and so whoever the Jedi is will be sensing his presence and will go towards that place, not knowing that. I guess they probably do know that there's bad stuff happening.
Well, to y'all's point, so 3 of them are already on that planet where the beacon was sent. So in order to assemble before the battle, they'll probably say, well, let's just chill here and see what happens. And then we'll see who shows up.
Well, he's already gone. He already left. Yeah.
Well, maybe they go back.
No, I bet you. I mean, who knows how the Force works? But I mean, it's wizard space magic. Like they can do whatever they want with it. So, like,
hold on.
They'll just start healing people like an episode, or like they did right
yeah.
before.
I mean, they can do whatever. But I assume at this point, once he sent out that beacon, that it's not tied to the rock. It's tied to his Force essence or whatever you want to call it, so that they can find him. And you have to assume, I think, that it's probably the last thing that happens in the season, right?
Yeah. We're gonna have some sick, because the entrances for these characters or these pivotal character moments have been incredible.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna have some sick ass. The finale is gonna have some Jedi awesome sauce-ness. We are going to see some fighting, some battling. The Darksaber is going to come out. I'm calling it right now.
Oh.
And then the cliffhanger is going to be Thrawn.
Oh.
So
I'll ask this question, not knowing if the actor signed on for more than 2 seasons. Is Mando Din, I guess is his real name, is he going to kill Moff Gideon this season?
Oh.
I think it could be interesting if that happens, because we would think he's this big bad the whole time, and really Thrawn's the dude we need to be scared of. And I wouldn't be surprised if he was killed in the finale.
I wouldn't either.
Giancarlo is also like, he's sought after. What if he's like
busy?
He's busy, so he'll be fine.
And it would just be such a like interesting thing to do, right? Like you've got this kind of big bad in the background, Moff Gideon, who, I mean, he hasn't appeared that often. I mean, he's been in and out in a few episodes. And I mean, to kill him and be like, yeah, he wasn't really the bad guy. Like, he was just a bad guy.
Right.
Mhm.
I mean, they've been showing that spear an awful lot. They made a point to show us that lightsabers don't cut it up. I mean, I think you're getting a Mando Moff lightsaber Beskar spear fight
Oh yeah,
where it ends up getting stuck through his chest.
Oh yeah,
To be amazing and a total dad moment for Mando, and I'm here for it.
Me
yeah.
too.
I'm pumped. I love it.
Be
Okay,
interesting.
well, so this Friday, we have chapter 15. We've laid out our predictions.
Mhm.
I would say if we can, let's do like a live thing Friday, and we can talk about it, get some season finale predictions going.
Yeah,
All right,
Yeah.
I think so.
it's gonna be big. I think you guys are right. It's gonna be very, very big.
I don't know. I'm sorry, man. I just don't think they got time for
Yeah.
filming. We're all in quarantine. Like, we don't have time for
I keep
this.
thinking it's 10 episodes.
No.
Damn it.
Yeah, that second to last episode, I don't know. The fans love the show, but you throw some filler in there, and people are gonna be like,
Mad.
"What
Oh
the hell, man?" Like, wait, you got the child kidnapped in one episode, Boba Fett cracking stormtroopers' helmets open, and now what? You're gonna go off to some random planet for an episode to hunt spiders or whatever it is you want to do?
Oh my
Like,
god, the spider episode.
no, like, no, that's not a thing.
No. Dave Filoni's like, I've been writing a cartoon for the last decade. I'm gonna give you some television.
Oh.
Like, he's
And
ready.
we are here for it.
He's like, look, I got 30 more Clone Wars characters to get into this season, so
I love it. Bless Jon Favreau.
Yes.
Well, I think we want to thank everybody for joining tonight. This was super fun. Bobby Ullery, I mean, if you want your Funko, email me, liz@purefandom.com. I'll get you your Funko, bro.
Yes.
But you guys, we're trying to give you away prizes. You know, we want to gift you. Tis the season.
Mm-hmm.
it is.
But if not, like, we're having a lot of fun doing this. So you're lost, guys, on missing out on some prizes. Mike, it's a pleasure. It's always a pleasure.
You're the best.
Always fun.
Thank you for joining. Husband, thank you for joining.
Oh no, thank you.
I can't believe our 3-year-old, we're potty training her right now, and she's been walking out of her room, I'd say every 5 minutes
Look at
after
that.
we put her to bed.
Fast asleep.
She's just fast
Oh
asleep.
yeah, it's great.
Good job.
See?
Awesome.
Perfect.
I know, crushing it as parents.
Mm.
Really.
Mm-hmm.
One of these days we'll get Meg to join the podcast too.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, I mean, we keep asking her. She just, I get it. She's doing a Dawson's Creek rewatch right now. Like, she's booked.
it's very emotional. very, very emotional here.
I just think of James Vanderbeek crying. That's about all I can think of.
Duh.
Every time she rewatches it, I make her call me into the room when that scene happens, just so I can see him do.
I love it.
That's great.
Well, shameless plug for me and Meg's podcast, Thursday nights, guys, right here as well. Space Cowboys podcast. Join us. It's super fun.
It is fun.
It is
I
fun.
tune in.
It sounds fun.
He does tune in, which I appreciate. Thanks, babe. I know you have no idea what we're talking about, but I appreciate it.
No idea.
It's love. Okay. Well, thank you guys so much. Check out purefandom.com. If you want to write for us, podcast for us, live stream, do whatever. Email liz@purefandom.com or meg@purefandom.com, and we'll get you hooked up. We're just like a big nerddom loving family, and we'd love to have you.
Yes.
Until next time. Bye.
Bye. Oh, this way.